Joining us today, as I said, is Professor Charles Freed. He's a distinguished press professor from Harvard Law School. He served as the United States Solicitor General under President Ronald Reagan. And he's a graduate of Princeton University, received his bachelor's and master's degree in law from Oxford and his Juris Doctor from Columbia. He served as a counsel to a number of many major law firms and clients. And from 95 until 99, Professor Freed served as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. He's been on Harvard Law School faculty since '61, and he's published extensively. He's the author of 7 books, over 30 journal articles, and his work has appeared in a dozen collections. His most recent book is Modern Liberty and the Limits of Government. So just to get things started, could you briefly explain, as you do in the Very Idea of Liberty chapter, why you decided to write on modern liberty, as well as mentioning your 3 everyday choices as violations of liberty?
Among intellectuals, social scientists, economists, philosophers to some extent, is that liberty is what's left after government or the community or whatever other collective entity you have has figured out what it wants and how it wants to pursue its goals. So that liberty becomes a kind of leftover notion. Or sometimes it's looked at as an instrumental notion. For instance, among economists, it is sometimes said that a free market is desirable because it is the most efficient and the most productive. And what I wanted to do is make an argument that takes liberty not as a residual thing, but as a rock-bed, important basic value of its own, and one which will take precedence over the other values that are urged and which are seen as the most crucial, liberty being whatever's left over.
Right. It's not a means in its own, and it's not necessarily an end. It is the foundation itself.
Exactly.
Right. So, real quick, one of the most common objections I think about when you talk about liberty in general is when you praise liberty and meritocracy, what do you say to those who might object to the view believing that there does exist an innate inequality, whether in rich robber barons buying the system out or marathon-winning Kenyans who either have material or biological advantages born in a society of equal liberty, which makes them automatically more favorable in that society? Is that truly equal, where these people have kind of this innate advantage? Or
no, it's not truly equal. I never said it was.
Right.
And, to put it brutally, so what? But I won't put it brutally. I'll let somebody else put it brutally. I never said that liberty is only to be embraced where it is compatible with equality, because in many respects it simply is not compatible with equality. At least compatible with equality viewed in a certain way. If equality is viewed as an equal enjoyment from moment to moment of the same wealth, the same resources, the same success, the same measures of happiness as everyone else, well, that's obviously incompatible with liberty. It's obviously impossible to procure that kind of equality without very violently stamping on liberty. And in fact, people who talk that way, and some people do, then we're perhaps a little bit later in our conversation, we'll talk about more sophisticated and more plausible views of equality. People who talk that way a choice of greater equality, but some people have got to be suppressed in order to procure it, and another situation where everybody is just as well off as they would be in this equal situation, but some people are better off. There are those Pol Pot-like who would say, better to suppress those who rise above the norm, because equality is what we care about. And you can get equality in various ways. One of them is by raising up people who are below the level of those who have the highest level of enjoyment, or by pushing down those people who are above some level of equality. Now, ideally, what you do is you raise up, to the extent that you push some people down, you use what you have acquired that way to push other people up. And that is a more benign view of it. But if it's really equality that you care about, you're going to push some people down, even though you don't help anybody.
Now wouldn't, so you're basically saying that sort of achieving the egalitarian ideal would either be impossible or require such a suppression of liberty that would be undesirable. But would you...
yes, certainly.
Right. Couldn't there, though, be steps taken within the framework of a liberal democratic society that would allow for equal opportunity, equality of opportunity, perhaps, that may involve some, artificial raising up of the those that are not enjoying the same level of
no.
Yes.
I have no problem with raising people up. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. Of course it is. How can you... the reason one cares about liberty is because one cares about people. One cares about the ability of people to realize their dreams and their ambitions and so on and so forth. So, you've got to value steps which improve that, no doubt. Now, equality of opportunity, that's a very complicated notion. Do you mean that in respect of those things which government does for everybody, has to do for everybody, it makes sure that everybody has equal opportunity? Well, fine. Do you mean that in respect to things which the government or community or society has not provided, and you mentioned greater natural abilities, for instance, and so on, that government has got to produce an opportunity for others to be at the same starting point as those people? I deny that. Now, what I do affirm, because I'm not crazy, is that society has at least this obligation to relieve suffering, and I think it has an obligation to children, and there you have two different ideas. Neither one of them are necessarily ideas of equality, although in respect to children it might